All right, so it's a little bit of a rat's nest in here. It's always kind of a pain to get things lined up the way that you want it. I uh, I had one original kind of box thrown together, like literally just thrown together, because I wanted to get all the electronics connected and see if like when it comes to a CNC machine, you want to try and achieve motion. So I wanted to get that moving around and wanted to get the computer operating and all that. And um, so now I figured, well, since it seems to be working okay, I will improve this box. So what are we looking at here? So this is a 24 volt power supply. It's powered from 110 volts AC or 120 volt AC. It's actually 114.5 volts most times I test it, but anyways, this is a 12 volt power supply. So you might wonder, well, why do you have 12 volts and 24 volts? What's the point? I just happen to have some stuff that runs off of 12 volts and some stuff that runs off of 24 volts. And as odd as it is, I might want more things. Like, I would rather keep the 24 volt power supply strictly to power these stepper drivers. So what happens here is I'm taking power from this 24 volt power supply, and it goes up to this. It's kind of like a fuse panel slash distribution board. Get a better look in there. So each line has fuses, and you can see up here that I got three of them in use. So each of these has its own fuse here. So if something goes wrong, it'll burn the fuse out before it ever causes anything down the line to go up. Let's say there was some sort of fire potential, then hopefully by the time things start shorting out, I'll just end up blowing fuses. You can see there's a main fuse, and then there's individual fuses. So given whatever happens, we can kind of do that. It's one of the things that the 12 volt power supplies. And I know this looks really shitty, but whatever. I just wanted to get the wires crammed up out of the way. So go from this 12 volt power supply up to this contact block there, and then each of my stepper drivers has a cooling fan on it, so that's important. I have a 12 volt light built into this here, so I also have a series of buttons. Emergency stop button. So I'll show you how this actually turns on. It's something I was concerned about was having a really reliable emergency stop button. But I also want one that didn't cause like any like crazy surging and stuff, because I noticed sometimes there was a little bit of like a really instantaneous kind of really snappy kind of surge going on, and I'm not really so much being cautious against that, but it did factor into some of my plans. So I'm going to turn this on, but what I need to do to turn it on is first this has to be plugged in. This will not turn on unless the USB is plugged in. So we'll come here. 50-50, did I get it right? No, I didn't. There we go. So it's turned on. So now what changed? If we look in there, we see green light turned on. So what does it take to get more lights to turn on? So we'll look at this, and we'll just click that, And nothing really happened. Try to click it again. Come on. Okay, well, forget that thing. We don't really need that thing. Well, actually, you know what? What I really wanted to do is disconnect, reconnect. Because when you unplug it, sometimes it goes a little wonky. This is kind of where this program's a little glitchy too. Is it's like now it's all connected, but that sure took a while. Anyways, so we'll do a quick soft reset, unlock it. So that was what was responsible for that yellow flashing lights there now. So now that the thing's connected with the Arduino, we're gonna see that it's sending some basically it's uploading data and downloading data or whatever, RX and TX, whatever those are. Okay, so still that's going. There's nothing else going. The reason is because this Arduino board has a little wire here, and this is a 5-volt wire, and it comes all the way down and all the way into this thing here, which is a relay. So it's a solid state relay, and that is if we just move a little wire out of the way here, we see that it says 3 to 32 volt DC. So I'm giving it 5 volts from the Arduino, and that's what's going to turn it on. So why isn't it on? Because you see that the power at the Arduino is turned on. Arduino surely is spitting out 5 volts. But the problem is that this blue wire that's paired with the red wire here, or with the orange wire, the blue wire comes up and it joins in with this brown wire. So suddenly we're going from blue to brown. Then brown comes all the way over here, and it comes into the top of my emergency stop button. And then my emergency stop button connects to the ground. So really, this is one big ground wire, and this ground even comes over and it connects into the ground off of my 12-volt power supply. And I'm not really like an electronics buff, and in my mind, ground is ground. I try to connect as many grounds together as I possibly fucking can, because I want everything to be grounded. And in this system, it's pretty important that the grounds are connected, because let's say I just pulled the ground off of the 12-volt power supply, but it wasn't connected to any other ground. That ground is like isolated. It doesn't work. But when I connect all the grounds together, suddenly I have a little red light on the relay, and that little red light connects this live wire to the live wire of both power supplies, and then both power supplies are already linked with the neutral and the ground. So now this one 24-volt power supply is kicking power up to this this PD8 octo-port expander, I believe is what they kind of call them. And if you look at this, so I could shut the power off at that board there. It's kind of handy if you want to be messing around with things on the motors. So we see a power light down there on one of the power supplies. I'm not sure if the other power supply has a light. We see the power lights on the drivers. and everything powered up. We got our green Jumanji power light here. And I mean, this thing doesn't know any different. It doesn't know that it's powered up. And that's one of the dangerous things about it. So what happens now, I'm gonna expand this console a bit here so we can see what some of the stuff's going on here. So when I hit the, let's say I hit the hold, I'm gonna hit the hold button. Now hold comes on. And what does hold do? Hold just pauses whatever you had going on. So I'll hit the resume button and hold goes away. Hold, resume. Now let's see what these buttons are. Hold, hold. Resume, resume. Good. So it says here on the bottom line, oh, error or whatever, blah blah. Ignore really what it says. I don't care what it says. We're gonna hit the reset button, and it says all the same shit over again. I'm gonna hit the emergency stop button, and it does it all over again. Turn it back on. Look at the alarm here. Soft reset, soft reset. Hit the e-stop, soft reset. So when I hit my e-stop button, it shuts off the power to the 24 volt power supply, the 12 volt power supply, all 3 driver boards, the relay, and that PD8 octoport expander thing. Watch, I'll hit the button right now. Everything is powered down. Everything is powered back up. So, essentially what I'm doing is when I hit the emergency stop button, it's going to kill the power to the motors, and eventually it's also going to kill the power to my spindle. So I'm going to incorporate this into probably a different relay, just so I don't have all the power going through one relay. And then if anything happens and I need to stop this right now, I hit that button and it kills the power. I should actually kind of rig it in instead of you know what I think I'm gonna do is, instead of having this reset so it's tied into this button, I'm gonna tie this in with the hold button so that when you hit this, it puts a hold on the system and you have to hit the green button to start again. And that would allow me to save position in my program. It would just pause the program. So I think that's a way better idea. I just don't know why I didn't do that. So anyways, does this actually really work? Am I just sitting here hitting buttons? Well, let's find out. So whipping along, and that was the reset button. Just stopped her in her tracks. I have a C-clamp on there at the moment because I was just gonna do a little touch-up weld on something that I missed. So yeah, stand back a bit here. Got the Hulk Z-axes. Got the control panel. Got the electronics enclosure. Let's see what else. The reason I showed you that clamp there is because I can't hit the home button, otherwise it'll ram itself into the wall. Because that clamp sticks back a little bit too far. But I can show you everything manually. So, when you hit the reset button, you have to do a soft reset and then unlock it again. So now we're going to do an e-stop. See, I was just about to hit the wall back there. I don't know if you can really see, but that bracket was getting pretty close to that 2x4. Good thing I had that stop button. I just stopped it and it reset everything. Let's see what it does. Perfect, yeah. So, so that's 150 inches a minute, which honestly is plenty fast for me. That is, notice I had some tension on the wires there. I don't have any, actual, geez, I'm not even sure what you want to call it. Cable chain, I guess. It's like a track that rolls and folds up on itself. So I'm going to 3D print some of that, but it's one of the hazards of having loose wires is that they can get hung up or whatnot. Yeah, so the long and short of this is that I have rebuilt the power box. The power box enables me to install a relay for spindle control, or another relay. Actually, I can show you these wires. These 3 wires here connect to the A3, A4, and A5 pins on the Arduino. So that's like turning on a spindle, turning on fluids like coolant, and I believe the last one is for the Z probe, which I need to work on that eventually in the future. I was making a dust boot. I made this dust boot here, and I was gonna connect it to the vacuum, but then I was thinking the Z-axis often comes straight down, and this is like really solid. I don't think it's gonna work. It's not so bad when it's going sideways, but essentially these bristles are just way too firm. They provide way too much support, and there's just no way that this dust boot's gonna work. So I was nice and smart, so I put a bunch of nails in it. I might just keep it as like a side project until I find better bristles. Then I'll rip these bristles off and I'll put on something better. Yeah, so other than that, I'm pretty much ready to go as far as mounting something down and actually trying a serious carving, because this is weird. What am I alarmed on? Yeah, so a little bit of show and tell there, and hopefully not too terribly boring with a lot of the empty kind of content that I've kind of included in this rambling video, but yeah, eventually I will be making a lot more progress. This was actually pretty good progress because I had this thing running on 12 volts at first, and it just wasn't really up to the task. Switching it to 24 volts, I ran into some problems with my drivers overheating, so I had to turn their amps down, and it's really weird too.
if you can see inside of there, see if I can free up some. Alright, so you can see right in there where it says off, 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 and then off, on, off, and then off, off, off. Those are supposed to be two separate amperage ratings, and I had it set for off, 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 which would have been 3.5 amps, 4 amps max. But it couldn't handle that, so right now I'm actually sitting at 2.5 amps and 2.7 amps max, which is off, on, on. The weird thing is that you see that where it says off, 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 and then it says off, 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 just 2 columns above it. So that means that the 2.8 and 2.9 volt output, or amp output, is the same as the 3.5 and the 4. I don't understand that. That's really weird. But yeah, I'm not using that setting anymore either, so I'm not sure. Maybe that was what was causing the problems. But I'm sitting at 2.5 amps at a max of 2.7 amps, and if I go any higher than that, then it kicks these out. They overamp or something like that, or they overheat, or they do something. I got fans on there and whatnot, and basically, moral of the story is you don't want one of those red lights going out in the middle of carving, because when that goes out, that stops everything. So technically, that's a big problem. I'm not even sure how I could like automate a way to prevent that, like an automatic restart or something. I don't know. The only way I have to restart it is to shut the power off and turn it back on, which the way that I do that is with the stop button or with this switch down here, and the stop button sends a reset code, but it would be better to have it send that hold feed, and then it'll basically pause everything, so then I could reset that and then turn everything back on and it would start from where it stopped. But the problem is I wouldn't necessarily be able to restart it immediately after the thing kicked out, so it would lose steps, which means it would have to be rehomed again, which isn't the end of the world, but it does cause problems when you want to try and keep a consistent process going. Yeah, just a little bit of a rat's nest. I mean, a lot of people's setups are so nice and neat, but I just got wires going every which way. I got 3 different holes coming out one side and another hole coming out the other, and yeah, I guess I just can't have a nice neat system. But for now, it's all right. It's working. That's all that matters to me, and everything else is just a matter of aesthetics. So thank you for watching this almost 24 minute long video. Surprising that the minutes can fly by like that when you're trying to describe stuff, and hopefully some people, I don't know, enjoyed seeing my convoluted setup for my e-stop or whatever. This is my work in progress, I guess. So thank you again for watching. I do invite you to like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think. Fairly interactive person, so if you throw some ideas my way or whatever, maybe I'll be able to work them into a project. And a lot of times I don't make any money at all off of anything that I do, like so it wouldn't be objectionable for me to make something as per request and then maybe have a little bit of a giveaway kind of thing for it, right? Like that would be fun. Things help motivate me like that. So I'm gonna sign out. You guys have a great day. Thank you again, YouTube, and whoever else is watching. And this has been Rambling Rant by James.